The forearm slammed across her windpipe, crushing Chief Petty Officer Maya Reeves against the concrete wall of Building 12. 28 years old, 5'3", civilian clothes because her orders came through at midnight. They thought she was lost. 4 Navy SEAL candidates surrounded her in the hallway at Naval Special Warfare Training Command San Diego, the biggest one's grip tightening on her throat. "Wrong place, bitch," he snarled. His 3 teammates moved in closer, blocking every exit. What they didn't know, what they were about to learn the hard way, was that she'd spent 4 years teaching Tier 1 operators exactly how to kill men like them with her bare hands. 47 seconds. That's all it would take. Before we dive in, hit that subscribe button and stay until the end. Drop your city in the comments so I can see how far this story reaches. Now let's begin. Maya had been in the parking lot exactly 4 minutes before it all went sideways. The drive from her old assignment at Naval Amphibious Base Coronado had taken 23 minutes in pre-dawn darkness, her Jeep packed with everything she owned that mattered. 3 sea bags, her equipment locker, and a photograph of her graduating Bud/S support class from 9 years ago. The only photo where she was smiling. She'd parked in the visitor lot because her facility access badge hadn't been updated yet. Another administrative screw-up in a chain of screw-ups that had defined this transfer. Her orders had specified Building 12, instructor quarters, report date 0600. It was 0547. The building was dark except for security lights. She shouldered her sea bag and headed for the side entrance, the one her sponsor, Master Chief Sarah Vance, had told her to use. The main entrance required badge access she didn't have yet. The side door was supposed to be unlocked for early arrivals. It was. She pushed through into a hallway that smelled like disinfectant and sweat, the familiar scent of every military berthing facility she'd ever been in. Fluorescent lights flickered overhead. She could hear voices coming from the common area at the end of the hall, male voices, laughing about something. Maya headed toward the sound because that's where the berthing assignments would be posted. That's when she saw them. 4 men in Navy PT gear, black shorts, gray shirts with the Naval Special Warfare Trident printed across the chest. All of them big. All of them staring at her like she'd just walked into their private clubhouse. The biggest one stepped forward first. 6'2", maybe 6'3", with shoulders that belonged on a linebacker and a neck that looked like it had been carved from granite. His hair was cut high and tight, his jawline sharp enough to cut glass. "Can I help you?" he said, but his tone made it clear he had no intention of helping her with anything. Maya kept her voice level. "I'm looking for the berthing assignments. I'm checking in." He crossed his arms. "Checking in where?" "Building 12, instructor quarters." One of the others, shorter, more compact, with a sleeve of tattoos running down his left arm, laughed. "Instructor quarters? This is candidate overflow berthing." Maya set down her sea bag. "My orders say Building 12, instructor quarters. Temporary assignment until permanent quarters open up." The big one stepped closer. "Let me see your orders." She pulled out her phone and opened the email, holding it up for him to read. He squinted at the screen, then looked at her like she'd just shown him a grocery list. "This doesn't make sense. We don't have female instructors in this building." "You do now," Maya said. The third man, taller than the others, with close-cropped blonde hair and cold blue eyes, moved to block the hallway behind her. "What's your rate?" "Chief Petty Officer." His eyebrows went up. "Chief? How old are you?" 28, he whistled. "Advanced fast. What's your specialty?" Maya felt the shift in the room, the way they were all looking at her now, not with respect, with suspicion. "Close quarters combat instruction," she said. The tattooed one laughed again. "CQC? For SEALs?" "That's correct." The big one, the one who'd spoken first, stepped even closer now, close enough that Maya could see the name tape on his shirt. Morrison. "Listen," Morrison said, his voice dropping to something that was supposed to sound reasonable but came across as condescending. "I don't know who sent you here or what kind of joke this is, but this building is for Class 347 candidates. We're 3 weeks from graduating SQT, and we don't have time for whatever diversity check-the-box bullshit the Navy's running this week." The fourth man, younger than the others, with nervous energy and a face that looked like it had never needed to shave, spoke for the first time. "Morrison, maybe we should just—" "Shut up, Hastings," Morrison said without looking at him. Maya picked up her sea bag. "I'm not here to interfere with your training. I'm here to do my job. If you have a problem with my orders, take it up with your chain of command." She tried to move past him. Morrison's hand shot out and grabbed her shoulder, spinning her around. That's when everything changed. "Wrong building, sweetheart," he said, and then his hands were on her throat, and she was moving backward fast, her spine hitting concrete hard enough to make her vision blur and her ears ring. His forearm pressed across her windpipe. The others moved in closer, forming a wall. Maya's training kicked in before her conscious mind could process what was happening. She'd been in this exact position 100 times, in training, in demonstrations, in combat drills with operators who outweighed her by 80 pounds. She knew exactly what to do. Her right hand came up fast, hooking around Morrison's wrist and twisting hard counterclockwise. The sudden rotation broke his grip and pulled him off balance. At the same time, her left hand drove upward in a palm strike to the soft tissue just below his jaw. Not full force, but hard enough to make him gag and stumble backward. She followed with a front kick to his solar plexus that sent him to the floor, gasping. The tattooed one moved next, faster than she expected. He grabbed for her arms, trying to pin them, but Maya sidestepped and used his momentum against him. She hooked her right leg behind his knee and drove her shoulder into his chest. He went down hard, the back of his head hitting the tile floor with a sound that made Hastings wince. The blonde one, the tall one with the cold eyes, hesitated, his hands up like he was trying to decide whether to fight or flee. Maya didn't give him time to decide. She stepped forward, grabbed his extended wrist, and twisted it into a standing arm lock that forced him to his knees. He yelped, a high, shocked sound, and she held him there, applying just enough pressure to make it clear she could break his arm if she wanted to. "You want to keep going?" she said, her voice calm despite the adrenaline flooding her system. "No," he gasped. "No, we're done. We're done." Hastings had backed up to the wall, his hands raised in surrender. "I didn't touch you. I swear to God, I didn't touch you." Maya released the blonde one and stepped back, her breathing still controlled. Morrison was on the floor, one hand clutching his throat, the other pressed against his stomach. The tattooed one groaned and rolled onto his side, blinking hard like he was trying to remember where he was. 47 seconds. That's how long it had taken to drop all 4 of them. Maya looked down at Morrison. "Bad choice," she said quietly. That's when the door burst open. The man who strode in wore khaki uniform with enough ribbons and badges to make it clear he was senior enlisted, very senior. Command Master Chief rank insignia gleamed on his collar. His face was twisted with fury, his jaw clenched so tight Maya could see the muscle jumping. "What the hell is going on here?" he roared. Morrison tried to stand, still clutching his throat. "Master Chief, she attacked us. We were just—" "Shut your mouth, Morrison," the Master Chief said, his voice like a hammer hitting an anvil. He looked at Maya, his expression hard. "Who are you?" Maya came to attention. "Chief Petty Officer Maya Reeves, Master Chief. I was assigned temporary berthing in this building. These men refused to let me stay, and then physically assaulted me." The Master Chief's eyes narrowed. "Show me your orders." Maya pulled out her phone again and handed it to him. He read the screen, his jaw tightening with every line. Then he looked at the 4 men, 3 on the floor, 1 against the wall, and his expression shifted from fury to something darker. "You idiots," he said slowly. "Just put hands on a Naval Special Warfare Close Quarters Combat Master Instructor." Morrison's face went white. The Master Chief keyed his radio. "This is Command, Master Chief Patterson. I need Master-at-Arms and Medical to Building 12, candidate berthing, immediately. We have an assault on a Chief Petty Officer and multiple injuries." He pointed at Morrison. "You and your teammates are going to explain to the commanding officer why you assaulted an instructor. UCMJ Article 128, assault on a petty officer. That's masked at minimum, court-martial if she presses charges." He turned back to Maya. "Do you need medical attention, Chief?" Maya's head was throbbing where it had hit the wall, and she could feel the beginning of what would be spectacular bruising on her back. "My head hit the wall, Master Chief. I should probably get checked." "Smart call. Medics are on the way." He glared at the 4 men. "Nobody moves until the MAs get here. You're all being detained pending investigation." Morrison finally found his voice. "Master Chief, with all due respect, you don't understand. My father is—" "I don't care if your father is the Chief of Naval Operations," Patterson said. "You put hands on an instructor in my facility. That ends one way, and it doesn't end well for you." The tattooed one sat up, holding his head. "She came at us. Chen, if the next words out of your mouth aren't, 'I need medical attention,' I suggest you shut the hell up." Maya stood there, her sea bag still on the floor where she'd dropped it, and watched as 2 Master-at-Arms arrived, followed by a medical team. The MAs took statements. The medics checked Morrison's throat, Chen's head, the blonde one's arm. One of the medics, a female hospital corpsman 2nd class, approached Maya. "Chief, let me check you out." Maya let her do the examination. The corpsman's hands were gentle but thorough, checking Maya's pupils, palpating the back of her skull where it had hit the wall. "Possible concussion," the corpsman said. "I want you at medical for a full evaluation." "Understood." Master Chief Patterson was talking to the MAs, his voice low but intense. Maya caught fragments. "Security footage. Full investigation. Notify the CO immediately." One of the MAs approached her. "Chief Reeves, we are going to need your statement." "Of course." She gave them everything: the timeline, the conversation, Morrison's hands on her throat, her defensive response. She kept her voice factual, unemotional. Just the facts. The MA taking notes looked up. "You dropped all 4 of them in under a minute?" 47 seconds, Maya said. "I counted." The MA's expression shifted. Not quite respect, but something close to it. "And your specialty is close quarters combat instruction?" "Master instructor level. I teach active duty SEAL operators." The MA wrote that down. Morrison was on a gurney now, the medics checking his vital signs. He looked at Maya, and for the first time she saw something other than arrogance in his eyes. Fear. He was starting to understand what he'd done. Master Chief Patterson approached her. "Chief Reeves, I apologize on behalf of this command. This should never have happened." "Thank you, Master Chief." "These men will face appropriate consequences. I give you my word." Maya nodded, but something in his tone made her pause. His expression was sincere, but there was something else there too. Something that looked like concern. "Master Chief, is there something I should know?" Patterson hesitated, glancing at Morrison on the gurney, then back at Maya. "That candidate, Morrison. His father is Rear Admiral Robert Morrison, retired. Former SEAL Team Commander, now a defense contractor with significant influence at the Pentagon. Maya felt something cold settle in her stomach. I see. And Class 347 is special. Hand-picked candidates, personally sponsored by the Admiral. They're being fast-tracked for special programs. So this is going to be political, Maya said. Patterson's expression hardened. This is going to be a shit show, Chief. But you were defending yourself. The security cameras will show that. And if they don't? Patterson didn't answer. The medical team was loading Morrison onto the gurney. As they wheeled him past, he looked at Maya one more time. This time his expression wasn't afraid. It was calculating. This isn't over, he said quietly, just loud enough for her to hear. Maya held his gaze. No, she said. It's not. They took him away. Master Chief Patterson escorted Maya to the medical facility himself. On the walk across the compound, he spoke in a low voice. Chief, I need you to understand something. Morrison's father has friends in high places, the kind of friends who can make problems disappear. Are you saying I'm the problem, Master Chief? I'm saying you need to be prepared for this to get worse before it gets better. The investigation will be thorough, but there will be pressure to resolve this quietly, to make it go away. Maya stopped walking. I'm not going away, Master Chief. Patterson looked at her for a long moment, then nodded. Good. Because the Navy needs more people who don't back down. He paused. But you should also know, there are people in this command who don't think women belong in special warfare, even as instructors. This incident is going to give them ammunition. Then I'll make sure the facts speak for themselves. Facts don't always matter when politics get involved. They reached the medical facility. Patterson held the door open for her. Get checked out, he said. Get some rest. Report to my office at 900 tomorrow. We'll figure out your birthing situation and get you properly checked in. Thank you, Master Chief. He started to leave, then turned back. Chief Reeves? That was textbook defensive tactics. Minimal force, maximum control. Whoever trained you did it right. Gunny Patterson at the NSW Center, Master Chief. He was my primary instructor. Master Chief Patterson's eyebrows went up. Marcus Patterson? That's my brother. Maya blinked. Small world. Very small. And Marcus doesn't certify master instructors unless they're the best of the best. He smiled, the first genuine smile she'd seen from him. Morrison and his buddies had no idea what they were walking into. No, Master Chief. They didn't. After he left, Maya sat in the medical examination room while the doctor ran tests. Concussion protocol. X-rays of her back where she'd hit the wall. The doctor was thorough and professional, documenting every injury. You're going to be sore for a few days, he said. The bruising on your back is going to be impressive, but no fractures, no serious damage. You got lucky. Lucky, Maya thought. That's one way to describe it. She left medical with a bottle of ibuprofen and instructions to rest, but there was nowhere to rest. Her birthing assignment was in the building where she'd just put 4 candidates on the floor. She ended up in her Jeep, reclined in the driver's seat, watching the sun come up over the training compound. Her phone buzzed. A text from Master Chief Vance, her sponsor. Heard what happened. You okay? Maya typed back, concussion, bruises, nothing permanent. Morrison's father is already making calls. This is going to get ugly. I know. Do you have a lawyer? Maya hadn't even thought about that. No. Get one, today. I'll send you names. Thanks, Sarah. Watch your back, Maya. These people play for keeps. Maya put her phone down and closed her eyes. She'd known this assignment would be challenging. Female instructors in naval special warfare were rare enough to be noteworthy. common enough to face constant scrutiny. Every mistake magnified, every success minimized. But she hadn't expected this. She thought about Morrison's expression as they'd wheeled him away, the calculation in his eyes, the quiet threat. This isn't over. He was right. This was just the beginning. Her phone buzzed again. Another text, this time from a number she didn't recognize. Chief Reeves, this is Lieutenant Commander Barnes, JAG Corps. Master Chief Vance asked me to reach out. I handle military justice cases involving special warfare personnel. Can we meet today? Maya sat up, ignoring the spike of pain in her head. Yes, she typed back. When and where? The response came immediately. 1300, Building 1, JAG Office. Bring copies of your orders, any documentation you have, and a timeline of events. And Chief, don't talk to anyone about this case without counsel present. That includes your chain of command. Maya stared at the message. It had been less than 2 hours since Morrison's hands had gone around her throat. Less than 2 hours since she'd dropped 4 SEAL candidates in 47 seconds. Less than 2 hours since her entire career had been thrown into chaos. She looked at the training compound, at the buildings where she was supposed to be teaching the next generation of operators, at the facility where she'd just become the problem that needed to be solved. Morrison's father was making calls. The political machinery was already in motion. And somewhere in this compound, Morrison and his teammates were crafting their version of events. The version where they were the victims, where she was the aggressor. Where a small female chief had attacked 4 male candidates without provocation. Maya knew how this worked. She'd watched it happen to other women in the military. The whisper campaigns, the administrative actions, the quiet transfers that ended careers without ever going to court. But she also knew something Morrison didn't. She knew how to fight. Not just with her hands, though she could do that better than most. She knew how to fight the system. How to document everything. How to build a case so airtight that even political pressure couldn't make it disappear. And she knew she wasn't alone. Master Chief Vance had her back. Lieutenant Commander Barnes was on her side. Master Chief Patterson, even though he'd warned her about the political fallout, had seen what happened and wasn't going to lie about it. The security cameras had recorded everything. The truth was on her side. The question was whether the truth would be enough. Maya started her Jeep and drove to the nearest coffee shop off base. She ordered a large black coffee and a breakfast sandwich she didn't want, then sat in a corner booth with her laptop and started documenting everything. Timeline, exact quotes, names, witness statements, injuries, medical documentation, everything. By 12:30, she had a 10-page report with timestamps, photographs of her injuries, and copies of all relevant emails and orders. At 12:45, she walked into Building 1 and found the JAG office. Lieutenant Commander Barnes was exactly what Maya expected. Sharp, professional, with the kind of eyes that didn't miss anything. Chief Reeves, she said, shaking Maya's hand. Let's talk about how we're going to win this. Lieutenant Commander Barnes slid a legal pad across the desk and clicked her pen. Start from the beginning, every detail. What you were wearing, what time you arrived, every word that was said. Maya went through it all again, her voice steady even as her head throbbed. Barnes took notes in shorthand, stopping her occasionally to clarify a detail or ask a follow-up question. And you're certain Morrison grabbed your throat first? Barnes asked. Positive. His exact words were, "Wrong building, sweetheart." And then his hands were on my throat. Witnesses? 3 other candidates, Chen, Rodriguez, and Hastings, but they're not going to corroborate my version. Barnes looked up. You sound certain of that. I am. They'll protect Morrison. That's how it works. Not if the security footage shows what really happened. Maya met her eyes. What if it doesn't? Barnes set down her pen. Master Chief Patterson said there are cameras in that hallway. High definition, recorded 24/7. If Morrison put hands on you first, the footage will show it. And if the footage mysteriously disappears? Then we have a bigger problem. Barnes leaned back in her chair. Chief, I'm going to be straight with you. Morrison's father has connections that go all the way to the Pentagon. He's already making calls. By tomorrow morning, there will be pressure on the commanding officer to resolve this quietly. Meaning what? Meaning they'll try to make you go away. Administrative action, transfer, maybe even charges if they can make them stick. The easiest solution for everyone is if you just disappear. Maya felt her jaw tighten. I'm not disappearing. Good, because we're going to fight this, but you need to understand what you're up against. Barnes pulled out a file and opened it. Rear Admiral Morrison retired 3 years ago after 30 years in the Navy. He commanded SEAL Team 3, then moved to Naval Special Warfare Command. He has friends who are now admirals, congressmen, defense contractors. His son, Jake, was groomed for the teams from birth, got into the Naval Academy because of his father's connections, graduated middle of his class, went straight to BUD/S, and made it through because nobody wanted to be the one to fail an admiral's son, Maya said. Exactly. Jake Morrison has been protected his entire life. He's never faced real consequences for anything. And now he's 3 weeks from graduating SQT, 3 weeks from getting his trident, and a female chief just embarrassed him in front of his teammates. Maya's phone buzzed, a text from Master Chief Vance. Security footage from Building 12 is corrupted, 90 seconds missing. Exactly the 90 seconds that matter. Maya showed the message to Barnes. The JAG officer's expression hardened. Well, that didn't take long. What does this mean? It means someone with access to the security system deleted the footage, which means this goes higher than Morrison and his teammates. Barnes stood and paced to the window. Chief, I need you to be prepared for what's coming. Without that footage, this becomes he said, she said. 4 male candidates against 1 female chief. And the Navy's track record in these situations isn't great. So they're going to get away with it. Not if I can help it. But we need to be smart. Document everything. Every conversation, every interaction, every order you receive. Keep a journal. Take photos of any injuries. If anyone threatens you or retaliates against you, I need to know immediately. Maya nodded, but her mind was racing. Someone had deleted that footage. Someone with administrative access to the security system. That meant someone in the chain of command was protecting Morrison. Who has access to delete security footage? She asked. Barnes turned from the window. Command duty officer, security officer, and the commanding officer. Maybe the XO. So we're looking at senior leadership. Possibly. Or someone with the technical skills to hack the system. Barnes sat back down. Right now, we focus on building your case. Medical documentation, witness statements, your personnel file. We establish your credibility as an instructor and show a pattern of exemplary service. What about Morrison's record? Can we access that? Not easily. But I have friends in personnel who might be willing to look into it quietly. Barnes checked her watch. You need to report to Master Chief Patterson at 900 tomorrow. For now, go get some rest. Don't talk to anyone about this case. If Morrison or his teammates approach you, walk away. If any superior officer tries to question you without me present, invoke your right to counsel. Maya stood to leave, but Barnes stopped her. Chief, one more thing. Be careful. If they're willing to delete security footage, they're willing to do worse. The warning stayed with Maya as she drove back to the base. She parked in the visitor lot again, still with no quarters assignment, nowhere to go. Her phone buzzed continuously, texts from people she barely knew, asking if she was okay, if the rumors were true, if she really dropped 4 candidates in under a minute. Word traveled fast in the special warfare community. One text stood out, from a number she didn't recognize. Chief Reeves, this is Senior Chief Marcus Patterson, NSW Center. My brother told me what happened. You need help? You call me. Anytime. Day or night. Maya saved the number and sent back, "Thank you, Senior Chief." His response came immediately. Those candidates messed with the wrong instructor. But watch your 6. The Morrison family doesn't lose gracefully. Maya put her phone down and closed her eyes. Her head was pounding despite the ibuprofen, and exhaustion was setting in hard. She'd been awake for 22 hours straight. Her phone buzzed again. Master Chief Vance. "Get off base. Stay at my place tonight. You're not safe there." Maya wanted to argue, wanted to say she could handle herself. But Vance was right. If someone had already deleted security footage, what else might they do? She drove to Vance's apartment in Pacific Beach, a small 1-bedroom with a view of the ocean. Vance answered the door in civilian clothes, her expression grim. "Come in. We need to talk." Inside, Vance poured 2 glasses of whiskey and handed one to Maya. "Drink. You've earned it." Maya took a sip. The burn felt good. "I made some calls," Vance said, settling onto the couch. "Talked to people I trust in the command. Morrison's father started making calls at 700 this morning. By 7:30, the commanding officer had received 3 phone calls from flag officers suggesting this situation be handled quietly." "Meaning what?" "Meaning they want you gone. Transfer, reassignment, administrative hold. Whatever it takes to make this disappear before it becomes a public relations nightmare." Maya set down her glass. "I'm not going anywhere." "I know, and I'm going to help you fight this, but you need to know what we're dealing with." Vance pulled out her phone and showed Maya a series of text messages. "I've been asking around about Class 347, Morrison's class. Turns out they have a reputation." Maya read the messages. Stories of harassment, intimidation, complaints that were filed and then disappeared. Female support staff who requested transfers. A female instructor who quit after Morrison's team made her life hell. "How many complaints?" Maya asked. "At least 8 that I can confirm. Probably more that were never filed." "And nothing happened?" "Nothing official. The complaints were investigated and found to be unsubstantiated, or the women withdrew them, or they were transferred before the investigation concluded." Maya felt cold. "This is a pattern." "Yes, and you're the first one who fought back." Vance took a long drink. "Which makes you dangerous." "You're proof that these guys aren't untouchable, and that's going to make them come after you harder." "Let them come." Vance looked at her for a long moment. "Maya, I admire your courage, but you need to understand something. I've been in the Navy for 23 years. I've seen good people get chewed up by the system. People who were right, who did everything by the book, and still got destroyed because they went up against the wrong people." "Are you saying I should back down?" "I'm saying you need to be smart. Pick your battles. Understand that winning might look different than you think." Maya stood up. "Sarah, they put hands on me. They assaulted me, and now they're trying to make me the problem. If I back down, what message does that send to every other woman in this community? That we're supposed to just take it? That we should smile and stay quiet and hope the good old boys eventually accept us?" "No, that's not what I'm saying." "Then what are you saying?" Vance stood too. "I'm saying that the system is rigged, and sometimes the only way to win is to change the game." Before Maya could respond, Vance's phone rang. She looked at the caller ID and her expression shifted. "It's the command, Master Chief. Patterson," she answered. "Master Chief, you're on speaker. Chief Reeves is with me." Patterson's voice came through tense. "Good. You both need to hear this. The CO just called me into his office. He's placing Chief Reeves on administrative hold pending the outcome of the investigation." Maya's stomach dropped. "What does that mean?" "It means you're restricted from all instructor duties. You'll report to the administrative office at 0800 tomorrow for assignment to temporary duties. Your instructor credentials are suspended." "On what grounds?" Vance demanded. "The official reason is that you're a witness in an ongoing investigation, and it would be inappropriate for you to have contact with candidates who might be called to testify." "That's bullshit," Vance said. "I know, but my hands are tied. The order came from the CO, and he's getting pressure from above." Maya found her voice. "What kind of temporary duties?" Patterson hesitated. "Equipment inventory, administrative tasks, whatever the admin chief assigns you." Translation: busy work, humiliating, meaningless tasks designed to make her quit. "Understood, Master Chief." "Chief Reeves, for what it's worth, I think this is wrong, but I can't countermand the CO's order." "I understand, Master Chief. I'll report as ordered." After he hung up, Vance threw her phone onto the couch. "God damn it. They're isolating you, taking away your credentials, your authority, your purpose. This is textbook retaliation." "Can they do this?" "Technically, yes, as long as it's framed as administrative action during an investigation." Vance paced the small living room. "But it establishes a pattern. They're creating a paper trail that makes you look like the problem." Maya sat back down, her head spinning. 24 hours ago, she'd been a decorated instructor with an exemplary record. Now she was on administrative hold, stripped of her credentials, assigned to menial tasks. "What's my move?" she asked. "You document everything. You show up on time, do whatever degrading tasks they assign you, and you don't give them any ammunition. Meanwhile, I keep digging. There's something wrong with Class 347. Too many complaints, too many problems that disappear. I'm going to find out what's really going on." Maya spent the night on Vance's couch, barely sleeping. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw Morrison's hands coming at her throat. Heard his voice. "This isn't over." He was right about that. At 7:30 the next morning, Maya put on her khaki uniform and drove back to the base. She reported to the administrative office at 7:55, 5 minutes early. The admin chief was a senior chief named Wallace, a career administrator who looked at Maya like she was a particularly annoying piece of paperwork. "Chief Reeves, you're assigned to inventory duty. Building 6, equipment warehouse. Report to Petty Officer Martinez. She'll give you your tasking." "Aye, aye, Senior Chief." Building 6 was a massive warehouse filled with training equipment, weapons, tactical gear. Petty Officer Martinez, a second class who looked barely old enough to vote, handed Maya a clipboard and a pen. "You're doing a full inventory of personal flotation devices. Count them, check serial numbers, verify condition. There are approximately 2,000 units. Should take you about 3 days." Maya looked at the rows and rows of life vests. This was exactly the kind of soul-crushing, pointless task designed to break her spirit. Understood. She got to work. By lunchtime, she'd counted 412 life vests. Her back ached from bending over boxes, her hands were filthy from dust, and her head still throbbed from the concussion. She was eating a sandwich in the warehouse when her phone buzzed. "Lieutenant Commander Barnes, just heard about your administrative hold. This is retaliation. Document everything. Keep your performance flawless. Don't give them any reason to take additional action." Maya sent back, "Roger that." Another text came through. Unknown number. You should have left when you had the chance. Now you're going to wish you had. Maya stared at the message. A threat. Direct and unmistakable. She screenshot it and forwarded it to Barnes, then blocked the number. 10 minutes later, Barnes called. That message is evidence of harassment. I'm adding it to your file. But Chief, you need to be careful. Whoever sent that knows your personal cell number. Understood. Maya went back to counting life vests. At 1600, she returned to the admin office to check out. Wallace barely looked up from his computer. Tomorrow, 0800, same tasking. Aye, aye, Senior Chief. As she walked to her jeep, she saw them. Morrison and his 3 teammates, standing near the parking lot in PT gear, watching her. Morrison's throat was bruised. She could see the marks even from 50 feet away. Chen had a bandage on the back of his head. Rodriguez's arm was in a sling. They didn't approach. They just watched. Maya got in her jeep and drove away, checking her rearview mirror constantly. The next 3 days followed the same pattern. Degrading tasks, hostile admin chief, threatening messages from blocked numbers. And every day, Morrison and his teammates appeared somewhere nearby, watching, waiting. On the 4th day, Maya opened her assigned locker in the equipment warehouse and found a small plastic bag containing white powder. Her blood went cold. She didn't touch it, didn't move. She pulled out her phone and called Master Chief Vance. Sarah, someone planted drugs in my locker. Don't touch anything. I'm calling the MAs right now. Stay there. The Master-at-Arms arrives 20 minutes later with a drug detection dog. The dog alerted on the locker. The powder tested positive for methamphetamine. Maya stood there, flanked by 2 MAs as they read her rights. Chief Reeves, you have the right to remain silent. I want my attorney present before I answer any questions, Maya said, her voice steady despite the panic flooding through her. They searched her jeep, found nothing. Lieutenant Commander Barnes arrived like a force of nature, her face tight with controlled fury. My client will not be answering any questions without me present, and I want that locker dusted for fingerprints immediately. The lead MA nodded. Already called for a forensics team, ma'am. Barnes pulled Maya aside. This is a setup. You know it, I know it, but we need to prove it. My fingerprints won't be on that bag, Maya said. I never touched it. Let's hope the forensics support that. The investigation took 6 hours. They printed the locker, the bag, everything. Maya gave a statement with Barnes present, explaining that she'd opened the locker and immediately called for help when she saw the drugs. At 2200, the lead MA approached them. Chief Reeves, the only fingerprints on that bag belong to Petty Officer 3rd Class Tyler Morrison. Maya felt something shift in her chest. Morrison? Jake Morrison's brother? The MA checked his notes. Negative, different Morrison. Tyler Morrison, Class 347 candidate. Wait, he looked up. Are these 2 related? Run it, Barnes said immediately. Check family connections. The MA made a call. 5 minutes later, he came back. Tyler Morrison is Jake Morrison's younger brother, also a SEAL candidate, Class 347. Barnes smiled, and it wasn't pleasant. Well, well, the Morrison family really doesn't like to lose, do they? The MA looked uncomfortable. Ma'am, I need to take this up my chain of command. You do that. And while you're at it, you might want to look into why Tyler Morrison had access to Chief Reeves's assigned locker, and why he decided to plant methamphetamine in it. That's a federal crime. After the MAs left, Barnes turned to Maya. This just got bigger. 2 Morrison brothers, both in Class 347, both coming after you. And Tyler's prints are on a felony amount of meth planted in your locker. What happens now? Now Tyler Morrison gets arrested and charged, and we use this to show a pattern of harassment and retaliation. This supports your case that Jake Morrison's assault wasn't an isolated incident. It's part of a coordinated campaign against you. Maya sat down hard on a nearby equipment crate. They're trying to destroy me. Yes, but they just made a critical mistake. They got sloppy. They left evidence. Barnes sat beside her. Maya, I need you to stay strong. This is going to get worse before it gets better. They're going to come at you harder now. But we're building a case. Every threat, every act of retaliation, every piece of evidence, it all works in our favor. How long can I keep doing this? Barnes looked at her. How important is this to you? Not just your career, the principle. Standing up to these people, making sure they face consequences. Maya thought about every woman who'd come before her in this command, the ones who'd quit, the ones who'd transferred, the ones who'd stayed quiet and hoped it would get better. She thought about every female candidate who would come after her, the ones who deserved to serve without being harassed, assaulted, or driven out. It's everything, she said. Then you keep fighting, and I'll fight with you. 2 days later, Tyler Morrison was arrested and charged with possession with intent to distribute, planting evidence, and conspiracy. He claimed he'd been ordered to do it by his brother Jake. Jake Morrison was brought in for questioning, and that's when the real investigation began. Jake Morrison sat in the interrogation room with his attorney, a civilian lawyer his father had flown in from Washington, and refused to answer a single question. The NCIS agent conducting the interview, a woman named Special Agent Reyes, let the silence stretch for a full minute before she slid a photograph across the table. Your brother's fingerprints were on the methamphetamine planted in Chief Reeves's locker, Reyes said. He's already given a statement implicating you. Morrison's attorney, a sharp-eyed man in an expensive suit, spoke before Morrison could. My client has no knowledge of his brother's activities and will not be answering questions without proper evidence of his involvement. Reyes smiled. We have phone records. 17 calls between you and your brother in the 48 hours before the drugs were planted. Text messages discussing handling the problem. Financial records showing you paid your brother $5,000 the day before the incident. Morrison's face remained impassive, but Maya, watching through the one-way glass with Lieutenant Commander Barnes, saw his jaw tighten. Circumstantial, the attorney said. My client maintains family relationships with his brother. The money was a personal loan. A personal loan for what? That's between family members. Reyes leaned back. Here's what I think happened. Chief Reeves embarrassed you, humiliated you in front of your teammates, and you decided she needed to be taught a lesson. So you called your little brother, who worships you, who would do anything you asked, and you convinced him to plant drugs in her locker. You thought it would destroy her career, get her kicked out, make your problem disappear. Morrison finally spoke, his voice cold. I don't have to listen to this. Actually, you do. You're not under arrest yet, but that can change very quickly. Reyes pulled out another file. Want to know what else we found? Your brother wasn't very good at hiding his digital footprint. We recovered deleted text messages from his phone, messages where you gave him explicit instructions about where to get the drugs, how to access Chief Reeves's locker, and when to plant them. The attorney's expression shifted slightly. I need to confer with my client. Take your time. In the observation room, Barnes turned to Maya. They've got him. The text messages are damning. Will it be enough? For conspiracy charges, absolutely. But this is bigger than just the drugs. Barnes checked her phone. I've been doing some digging with help from Master Chief Vance. Class 347 has an unusual pattern, extremely high attrition rate among support staff, 8 formal complaints in 18 months. 3 female instructors requested transfers. And here's the interesting part. All of them cited the same 4 candidates: Morrison, Chen, Rodriguez, and Hastings. Exactly. They're a pack. They operate together, protect each other, and systematically target anyone they see as weak or unworthy. Maya felt her hands clench. How did they get away with it? Because the complaints were investigated by their chain of command, and their chain of command made them disappear, which means someone higher up is protecting them. Morrison's father. Possibly, but I think it goes deeper than that. Barnes pulled up something on her phone and showed it to Maya. I had a friend in Navy personnel run a quiet search. Morrison, Chen, Rodriguez, and Hastings all have one thing in common besides Class 347. They all listed the same private military contractor on their post-service employment preference forms. Maya looked at the company name. Blackwater Solutions. Never heard of them. They're new. Founded 6 months ago by, wait for it, Rear Admiral Robert Morrison. Everything clicked into place. He's recruiting his own son's SEAL class for his private company. Not just recruiting, grooming. These guys aren't just training to be SEALs, they're training to be private military contractors. And they're using Navy resources, Navy training, and Navy equipment to prepare for jobs that will make them millions in the private sector. Maya stared at the phone screen. That's theft, fraud, misuse of government resources. It's also a federal crime, and if we can prove Morrison's father is behind it, we can bring down the whole operation. Back in the interrogation room, Morrison's attorney was whispering urgently in his client's ear. Morrison shook his head repeatedly, but the attorney kept talking. Finally, Morrison stood up. I'm done here. Unless you're charging me with something, I'm leaving. Reyes smiled. Actually, Jake Morrison, you're under arrest for conspiracy to distribute controlled substances, planting evidence, and witness intimidation. Stand up and turn around. Morrison's face went white. You can't. I can, and I am. Reyes pulled out handcuffs. You have the right to remain silent. The attorney interrupted. Special Agent, my client is willing to cooperate if we can discuss a deal. Reyes paused. I'm listening. Full immunity in exchange for information about a larger operation involving misuse of military resources and illegal recruitment for private military contracting. Maya felt Barnes grab her arm. He's flipping on his father. In the interrogation room, Morrison looked sick. His attorney continued. My client has evidence, documents, recordings, financial records that prove a systematic scheme to use naval special warfare training and resources for private sector gain. Reyes sat back down. Keep talking. What came out over the next 2 hours was worse than Maya had imagined. Morrison admitted everything. The assault was meant to intimidate her into leaving before she could observe Class 347's training. His father had specifically warned him about female instructors who might notice irregularities in their curriculum. The deleted security footage? Morrison's father had a contact in base security who owed him favors. The drug plant was supposed to be the final blow. Destroy Maya's credibility so thoroughly that anything she reported would be dismissed. But the real operation was even bigger. My father's been recruiting SEAL candidates for 3 years, Morrison said, his voice barely above a whisper. He targets guys from Class 347 specifically because they're his personally sponsored candidates. He gets them through training, makes sure they graduate, and then offers them contracts with Blackwater Solutions starting at $300,000 a year. How many candidates? Reyes asked. 47 so far, maybe more. I don't know everyone. And what does he get in exchange? Morrison looked at his attorney, who nodded. During their training, the candidates steal equipment. Small stuff at first, night vision goggles, tactical gear, ammunition, then bigger items, Weapons, explosives, communications equipment. They smuggle it off base piece by piece and stockpile it at my father's facility in Arizona. How much equipment are we talking about? Over $2 million worth, maybe more. Reyes wrote something down. And in exchange for stealing this equipment, they get guaranteed jobs after they graduate? Yes, but there's more. Morrison looked directly at Maya through the one-way glass, like he knew she was there. My father told us that women in special warfare were a threat to the operation. They ask too many questions. They follow rules too closely. They don't have the same loyalty to the brotherhood. So whenever a female instructor or support staff member was assigned to work with Class 347, we were supposed to make their lives hell until they quit or transferred. Barnes's hand tightened on Maya's arm. The 8 complaints, Reyes said. Those were all part of this pattern? Yes. My father wanted them gone before they could discover what we were doing. It worked 8 times. Chief Reeves was supposed to be number 9. Except she fought back. Except she fought back, Morrison agreed. And when that didn't work, we escalated. The drug plant was my father's idea. He said it would destroy her credibility completely. Reyes leaned forward. Jake, I need you to understand something. What you're describing is a criminal conspiracy that involves active-duty military personnel, theft of government property, fraud, and witness intimidation. Your father is going to prison. The question is whether you go with him, or whether you help us build an airtight case. What kind of deal are we talking about? That depends on how much you cooperate. Full disclosure. Names, dates, locations, every candidate involved, every piece of stolen equipment, every communication with your father. You give us everything, and I'll recommend reduced charges. Morrison looked at his attorney again. The attorney nodded. I want immunity from prosecution for the theft and conspiracy charges. I'll plead guilty to the assault on Chief Reeves and the drug plant. But I want immunity for everything else. Reyes stood up. I'll take that to the U.S. attorney. But Jake, if you're lying to me, if you hold anything back, the deal is off, and you go down with everyone else. I understand. Outside the interrogation room, Barnes was already on the phone with someone at JAG headquarters. Maya stood there trying to process what she'd just heard. 47 candidates, $2 million in stolen equipment, a systematic campaign to drive out female personnel, and all of it orchestrated by a retired admiral who thought he was untouchable. Master Chief Vance appeared at her elbow. You okay? No, Maya said honestly. This is bigger than I thought. It's bigger than anyone thought. NCIS is bringing in a task force. They're going to tear apart Class 347 and every class Morrison's father has had contact with for the past 3 years. What about the candidates who are about to graduate? The ones who are 3 weeks from getting their tridents? Vance's expression was grim. If they're involved, their careers are over. Everything they've worked for, gone. Maya should have felt vindicated, should have felt satisfied that the people who'd attacked her were facing consequences. But all she felt was exhausted and angry. How many good people quit because of this? She asked. How many women transferred out, gave up, walked away because they thought the problem was them? Too many, Vance said quietly. But you didn't quit. You stayed. You fought. And because you did, all of this came to light. It shouldn't have taken an assault and a frame-up to expose this. No, it shouldn't have. But that's the system we have. And now we have a chance to change it. Over the next week, the investigation exploded. NCIS raided Morrison's father's facility in Arizona and found a warehouse full of stolen military equipment. They arrested 17 candidates from Class 347 and 4 from previous classes. Financial records showed that Rear Admiral Morrison had been paying candidates for stolen equipment and offering them signing bonuses for contracts with Blackwater Solutions. Chen, Rodriguez, and Hastings all flipped and agreed to testify against Morrison's father in exchange for reduced charges. The base security officer who deleted the footage was arrested for obstruction of justice and conspiracy. The story broke in the Navy Times on a Wednesday morning. By Thursday, it was national news. CNN, Fox News, MSNBC, everyone was covering the story of the retired SEAL admiral who'd turned his son's training class into a recruiting pipeline for his private military company. Maya's name appeared in every article. The female chief who'd fought back, the instructor who'd exposed the conspiracy, the woman who'd refused to be intimidated. Her phone rang constantly. Reporters, fellow instructors, operators she'd trained years ago calling to say they'd known she was tough, but hadn't realized she was this tough. One call stood out. Senior Chief Marcus Patterson from the NSW Center. "Chief Reeves, I'm watching the news coverage, and I want you to know something. I'm proud as hell to have trained you. You upheld everything we taught you about integrity, courage, and never quitting. You're exactly the kind of warrior the Navy needs." Maya felt her throat tighten. "Thank you, Senior Chief." "I mean it. You're going to come through this stronger, and when you do, you call me. I've got a position opening up at the Center for a Master Instructor. It's yours if you want it." After the call ended, Maya sat in Vance's living room, where she'd been staying for the past 2 weeks, and let herself cry. Not from sadness, from relief, from exhaustion, from the weight of carrying this fight alone finally lifting. Vance found her there and sat down beside her without saying anything. Just presence. Just solidarity. "It's not over yet," Maya said finally. "No, but the hard part is done. Now comes the justice." The preliminary hearings started 3 weeks later. Morrison's father was arraigned on 47 counts, including conspiracy, theft of government property, fraud, and witness intimidation. He pled not guilty and posted bail, $2 million, which he paid in cash. Jake Morrison pled guilty to assault and conspiracy to plant evidence. In exchange for his testimony against his father, he received a sentence of 2 years in military prison and a dishonorable discharge. His SEAL career was over. Tyler Morrison got 5 years for his role in planting the drugs. Chen, Rodriguez, and Hastings each received dishonorable discharges and sentences ranging from 18 months to 3 years. 17 other candidates were administratively separated from the Navy. Their careers ended before they could earn their tridents. The base security officer who deleted the footage got 3 years for obstruction of justice. And through it all, Maya testified. In hearing after hearing, deposition after deposition, she told her story. The assault, the retaliation, the intimidation, the systematic campaign to drive her out. Her testimony was calm, factual, devastating. Morrison's father's attorney tried to discredit her, suggested she'd overreacted to harmless hazing, implied she'd planted the drugs herself to frame the Morrison brothers, questioned whether she was really qualified to be an instructor. Lieutenant Commander Barnes destroyed him on cross-examination. "Chief Reeves holds Master Instructor certification in close quarters combat," Barnes said, her voice cutting through the courtroom. "She has trained over 200 active-duty SEAL operators. She has 4 combat deployments supporting special operations. She was promoted to Chief Petty Officer at 26 years old, 2 years ahead of her peers, for exceptional performance. Are you suggesting that the Navy promotes unqualified personnel to senior enlisted ranks?" The attorney backtracked. "No, of course not. I'm simply questioning. You're questioning nothing. You're attempting to smear a decorated service member because she had the courage to stand up to your client's criminal enterprise. Chief Reeves didn't plant drugs in her own locker. Your client's son did, and his fingerprints prove it. Chief Reeves didn't delete security footage. Your client's conspirator did, and the digital forensics prove it. Chief Reeves didn't assault 4 SEAL candidates. They assaulted her, and the medical evidence proves it. The only question here is how long your client is going to prison. The defense attorney had no response. 3 months after Maya had been slammed against that concrete wall, Rear Admiral Robert Morrison was convicted on all 47 counts. The judge sentenced him to 15 years in federal prison and ordered him to pay restitution of $2.3 million. Blackwater Solutions was dissolved, its assets seized by the government. Every candidate Morrison had recruited was investigated. Some were cleared, most were not. The scandal rocked naval special warfare to its core. The commanding officer who'd placed Maya on administrative hold was relieved of duty for failing to properly investigate the complaints. The XO was reassigned. New policies were implemented requiring independent oversight of any investigation involving female personnel. And Maya, battered, exhausted, vindicated, was promoted to Senior Chief Petty Officer and awarded the Navy and Marine Corps Medal for her role in exposing the conspiracy. The award ceremony was small, just her chain of command, Lieutenant Commander Barnes, Master Chief Vance, and Senior Chief Marcus Patterson, who'd flown in from the NSW Center. The new commanding officer, a former SEAL team commander with a reputation for integrity, pinned the medal to her uniform. "Senior Chief Reeves," he said, his voice carrying across the small room. "You exemplify the highest standards of naval service. Your courage, integrity, and dedication to justice have made this command better and stronger. The Navy is proud to have you." Maya stood at attention, her eyes forward, her voice steady. "Thank you, sir." Afterward, Patterson pulled her aside. "That job offer still stands. Master instructor position at the NSW Center. You'd be training the next generation of operators, teaching them the same values you demonstrated: courage, integrity, accountability." Maya looked at him. "I'd be honored, Senior Chief." "Good. Your orders will cut next week. Report date is 60 days out. That gives you time to clear this command and take some leave. You've earned it." "Thank you, Senior Chief." He smiled. "Marcus, we're going to be working together. Call me Marcus." That night, Maya finally returned to her Jeep and drove to the beach. She sat on the sand watching the sunset over the Pacific, thinking about everything that had happened. The assault, the investigation, the threats, the vindication. She thought about the 8 women who'd come before her, the ones who'd quit or transferred rather than keep fighting. She hoped they knew that it hadn't been their fault. She hoped they knew that the system that had failed them was being torn apart and rebuilt. She hoped they knew they hadn't been weak for leaving. Her phone buzzed, a text from Vance. "Drinks at my place. You, me, Barnes, Patterson. We're celebrating." Maya smiled and typed back, "On my way." As she stood to leave, she looked back at the ocean one more time. The water was dark now, the sun almost gone, but on the horizon she could see the lights of ships returning to port. Coming home. She thought about Morrison's last words to her before they'd taken him to prison. Was it worth it? He'd asked. Destroying all those careers? Ending all those dreams? She'd looked him straight in the eye. "I didn't destroy anything. You did. You and your father. You could have been good SEALs. You could have served with honor. Instead, you chose to cheat and steal and hurt people you thought were beneath you. Those careers you're mourning? They were built on lies. They were never real." "Easy for you to say. You won." "I survived, Maya had corrected him. "And I made sure no one else would have to survive what you put me through. That's not winning. That's justice." Now, standing on the beach with salt air in her lungs and the weight of the metal in her pocket, Maya finally let herself believe it. Justice. Not perfect, not complete, but real. She got in her Jeep and drove to Vance's apartment, ready to celebrate with the people who'd fought beside her. Ready to start the next chapter.
Ready to teach the next generation that excellence has no gender, courage has no gender, and the warrior who stands up for what's right, regardless of the cost, is the one who truly deserves the trident. The celebration at Vance's apartment lasted until past midnight. Barnes brought expensive bourbon, Patterson brought stories from the old days at the NSW Center, and Vance ordered enough takeout to feed a platoon. They toasted Maya's promotion, her medal, her courage. They laughed about Morrison's face when the verdict came down. They talked about the future like it was bright and certain. But when Maya finally got back to her own apartment, the permanent quarters she'd moved into 3 weeks ago, the silence hit her like a physical weight. She locked the door, checked it twice, then checked all the windows. She knew it was irrational. Morrison was in prison. His father was in prison. The threat was over. Her hands were shaking anyway. She poured herself a glass of water and sat on her couch, still in her dress uniform with the new medal pinned above her ribbons. Senior Chief. She'd made Senior Chief at 28. Most people didn't make it until their mid-30s. She should have felt proud. Instead, she felt hollowed out. Her phone rang at 0200. She almost didn't answer, but the caller ID showed a Washington, D.C. area code. "Senior Chief Reeves," she answered. "Senior Chief, this is Captain Elizabeth Chen, Pentagon. I apologize for the late hour. I'm calling because we have a situation that requires your immediate attention." Maya sat up straighter. "Yes, ma'am." "Your case has attracted significant attention at the highest levels of Navy leadership. The Secretary of the Navy has ordered a comprehensive review of gender integration policies across all special operations communities. We're assembling a task force to lead this initiative, and we want you on it." "Ma'am, I'm scheduled to report to the NSW Center in 60 days as a master instructor." "We're aware of your orders. This would supersede them. You'd report directly to the Pentagon, work with senior leadership across SOCOM, and help design the policies that will govern special operations for the next generation. This is a career-making opportunity, Senior Chief." Maya felt her chest tighten. What exactly would the assignment entail? Policy development, training curriculum design, congressional liaison work. You'd be the face of this initiative, the proof that women can succeed in special warfare when the system supports them rather than undermines them. "With all due respect, ma'am, I'm an operator and an instructor. I'm not a politician." Captain Chen's voice softened slightly. "No one's asking you to be a politician. We're asking you to be exactly what you are. A warrior who fought back against a corrupt system and won. The Navy needs that voice in this conversation." "Can I have time to think about it?" "You have 48 hours. After that, we need to move forward, with or without you." Chen paused. "Senior Chief, I know you've been through hell these past few months. I know you're tired. But this is bigger than one assignment. This is about changing the culture for every woman who comes after you." After the call ended, Maya sat in the dark, trying to process it. Pentagon assignment, policy work, congressional liaison. Everything she'd never wanted. She'd joined the Navy to be an operator, not a bureaucrat. She'd worked her way up through the ranks, teaching warriors how to fight, not sitting in meetings talking about diversity metrics. But Chen was right about one thing. This was bigger than her.
Her phone buzzed with a text. Vance. Can't sleep either? Maya called her back. Sarah, Pentagon just offered me an assignment. I know. Captain Chen called me first to ask about you.
I told her you were the best instructor I've ever worked with, and that if anyone could fix the system, it's you. You recommended me for a desk job? I recommended you for a mission. There's a difference. Vance's voice was serious. Maya, what happened to you happens to women across the military every single day. Most of them don't have the training to fight back. Most of them don't have the evidence to prove their case. Most of them just disappear. You have a chance to change that, to build a system where they don't have to be as tough as you were just to survive. I don't know if I can do this. You dropped 4 SEAL candidates in 47 seconds, took down a retired admiral's criminal empire, and testified in front of a federal court without breaking. You can do anything. That was survival. This is different. This is also survival, just on a bigger scale. Maya leaned back against her couch. I keep having dreams about that hallway. Morrison's hands on my throat. I wake up and I can't breathe. Vance was quiet for a moment. Have you talked to anyone? A counselor? The Navy mandated 3 sessions after the assault. The counselor told me I was handling it well. 3 sessions isn't enough. Not for what you went through. I'm fine, Sarah. No, you're not. And that's okay. What happened to you was traumatic. The assault, the investigation, the retaliation, that's not something you just shake off because you won the case. Maya felt her throat tighten. I can't afford to not be fine. If I show weakness now, after everything, asking for help isn't weakness, it's survival. Just like fighting back was survival. Just like testifying was survival. Taking care of your mental health is part of being a warrior. After they hung up, Maya stared at her phone for a long time. Then she pulled up the contact information for the counseling services and scheduled an appointment for the next day. She didn't sleep that night. The counselor was a civilian contractor named Dr. Sarah Martinez, a psychologist who specialized in combat trauma and military sexual assault. She worked out of a small office on base, and her walls were covered with certificates and commendations from veterans she'd helped. Maya sat across from her and tried to figure out where to start. Tell me what brings you in today, Dr. Martinez said. I'm having trouble sleeping. Nightmares about the assault. The assault that happened 4 months ago? Yes. Walk me through what happened. Take your time. Maya went through it again. The timeline, the confrontation, Morrison's hands on her throat, the fight, the investigation, the retaliation, the trial, the conviction. Dr. Martinez took notes, her expression neutral and professional. When Maya finished, she set down her pen. Senior Chief, what you're describing is a textbook case of post-traumatic stress. You experienced a violent assault, followed by months of sustained harassment and institutional betrayal. The fact that you're having nightmares and hypervigilance is completely normal given what you endured. Normal doesn't feel normal. No, it doesn't. Trauma rarely does. Dr. Martinez leaned forward. You've been in survival mode for 4 months. Fight or flight, constant vigilance, every interaction a potential threat. Now that the immediate danger is over, your nervous system doesn't know how to stand down. It's still waiting for the next attack. So, what do I do? First, we acknowledge that what you're experiencing is real and valid. Second, we develop coping strategies to help you regulate your nervous system. Third, we process the trauma so it stops controlling you. They spent the next hour talking through techniques, breathing exercises, grounding strategies, sleep hygiene. Dr. Martinez was direct and practical, treating Maya like the professional she was,
rather than like a victim who needed to be handled with kid gloves. I'm also going to recommend you continue these sessions weekly for at least 3 months, Dr. Martinez said. What you went through doesn't resolve in a few appointments. This is going to take time. I might be transferring to the Pentagon in 60 days. Then we'll work intensively until you transfer, and I'll connect you with someone in DC who can continue your care. Maya left the appointment feeling lighter than she had in weeks. Not fixed, not healed, but maybe on the path to something that looked like recovery. She was walking back to her Jeep when someone called her name. "Senior Chief Reeves!" She turned to see a young woman in Navy PT gear jogging toward her. Second-class petty officer based on her rank insignia, maybe 23 or 24 years old. "Ma'am, I'm sorry to bother you. I'm Petty Officer Second Class Amanda Rodriguez. I work in supply at the NSW Center. What can I do for you, Rodriguez?" The young woman's eyes were bright with emotion. "I just wanted to say thank you for what you did, for fighting back. I've been in the Navy for 4 years, and I've dealt with so much crap from guys who think women don't belong in special warfare. Harassment, discrimination, all of it. I was about to submit my resignation papers, but then I saw what you did, how you stood up to them, how you didn't back down, and I thought, maybe I don't have to quit. Maybe I can fight too." Maya felt something crack open in her chest. "You shouldn't have to fight just to do your job. I know, but until the system changes, we do have to fight. And you showed us how." Rodriguez's voice was shaking now. "You showed us that we can win, that standing up for ourselves matters, that we're not crazy for thinking we deserve better." "Rodriguez, No, please let me finish. There are dozens of us. Women in support roles, women trying to become instructors, women who've been told our entire careers that we're not good enough, we're not strong enough, we don't belong. You proved them all wrong. You're a hero to us." Maya didn't feel like a hero. She felt like someone who'd survived something she shouldn't have had to survive in the first place. But looking at Rodriguez's face, the hope there, the determination, Maya realized that her fight hadn't just been about her. It had been about every woman who would come after her, every woman who deserved to serve without being assaulted or harassed or driven out. "Keep fighting," Maya said, "and if anyone gives you trouble, you document it and you report it. The system is changing, slowly, but it's changing." "Because of you, Senior Chief." After Rodriguez left, Maya sat in her Jeep for a long time. She thought about Captain Chen's offer, Pentagon assignment, policy work, the chance to build a system that would protect women like Rodriguez. She pulled out her phone and called Chen back. "Ma'am, this is Senior Chief Reeves. I've made my decision. I'll take the assignment." "Outstanding, Senior Chief. I'll have your orders cut immediately. Report date is 60 days out. Welcome to the team." Maya hung up and stared at the phone. She'd just committed to something that terrified her almost as much as Morrison's hands around her throat had. But this time, the fear came with purpose. 3 weeks later, Maya received a summons to appear before the Senate Armed Services Committee. They were conducting hearings on gender integration in special operations, and they wanted her testimony. Lieutenant Commander Barnes helped her prepare. "They're going to ask about the assault, the investigation, the systemic failures. Be honest, be professional, and don't let them bait you into emotional responses. Some of these senators have agendas." "What kind of agendas?" "Some genuinely want to fix the system. Others want to use your case to argue against women in combat roles. They'll try to suggest that what happened to you proves women can't handle the special operations environment." Maya felt anger flash through her. What happened to me proves that some men can't handle women in special operations. Exactly. Hold on to that clarity when you testify. The hearing was held in the Russell Senate Office Building, a massive stone structure that made Maya feel small and out of place. She wore her service dress blues with her new senior chief insignia and her medal. Barnes sat behind her in the gallery, along with Master Chief Vance and Senior Chief Patterson. The committee chairman, a senator from Virginia with 30 years in office, called the hearing to order. Senior Chief Reeves, thank you for appearing today. We know this hasn't been easy for you.
Thank you, Senator. I'd like to start by asking you to describe, in your own words, what happened on the morning of your assault.
Maya went through it again. The timeline, the confrontation, Morrison's hands on her throat, the 47 seconds it took to defend herself. One senator, a man from Texas with a reputation for opposing women in combat, interrupted. Senior Chief, you said you dropped 4 men in less than a minute. Doesn't that suggest an excessive use of force? Maya met his eyes.
Senator, I used the minimum force necessary to stop an ongoing assault. I could have broken bones, dislocated joints, caused permanent damage. I didn't. I used controlled techniques designed to neutralize the threat without causing serious injury.
But you're trained in lethal combat techniques, are you not?
I am.
So you chose to use non-lethal force?
I chose to use appropriate force for the situation. 4 men assaulted me. I defended myself.
That's what any SEAL would have done in the same situation. Another senator, a woman from California, spoke up.
Senior Chief, in your experience as an instructor, have you encountered resistance to female personnel in special operations?
Yes, Senator, frequently.
Can you elaborate?
Maya thought about the 8 women who'd come before her, the ones who'd quit, the ones who'd been driven out. Female personnel in special warfare face constant scrutiny. Our qualifications are questioned, our competence is doubted, and our presence is resented. We're expected to prove ourselves repeatedly in ways that male personnel never have to, and when we do prove ourselves, the goalposts move.
Do you believe the Navy is doing enough to address this culture?
No, Senator, I don't. The policies exist on paper, but enforcement is inconsistent. Complaints are investigated by the same chains of command that created the hostile environment, and women who report harassment or assault are often punished more severely than the men who committed the offenses. The Texas senator jumped in again. Senior Chief, with all due respect, doesn't your case prove that women aren't suited for the special operations environment? You were assaulted on your first day at your new assignment. Maya cut him off.
Senator, I was assaulted because 4 men decided to put their hands on me without provocation. That has nothing to do with my suitability for special operations, and everything to do with their criminal behavior. The question isn't whether women can handle special operations. The question is why some men can't handle serving alongside women who are better at the job than they are.
The chamber went silent. The senator's face reddened. Senior Chief, I'm not suggesting—
You are suggesting exactly that, Senator.
You're suggesting that I was assaulted because I'm a woman in a male-dominated field, and that my presence somehow provoked the attack. But the problem wasn't my presence. The problem was a criminal conspiracy led by a retired admiral who thought he could use Navy resources for private gain, and who saw female personnel as obstacles to be eliminated. Another senator spoke up. Senior Chief Reeves, you've accepted an assignment to the Pentagon to work on gender integration policy. What changes do you hope to implement? Maya took a breath, letting her anger settle into something more productive. Independent oversight for all harassment and assault complaints. Mandatory training that actually changes behavior rather than just checking boxes. Consequences for leaders who create or tolerate hostile environments. And most importantly, a shift in culture where women are evaluated based on their performance, not their gender.
Do you believe those changes are achievable?
I have to believe they're achievable, Senator, because if they're not, then everything I went through was for nothing.
and I refuse to accept that. The hearing lasted 3 hours. Maya answered every question, maintained her composure, and refused to be rattled by hostile senators or leading questions. When it was over, the chairman thanked her for her service and her courage. Barnes met her outside the chamber. "You were incredible. You didn't just defend yourself, you went on offense. That comment about men not being able to handle serving alongside competent women? That's going to be quoted everywhere." "I probably shouldn't have said that." "You absolutely should have. Someone needed to say it." Barnes grinned. The Texas senator looked like he was going to have a stroke. That night, Maya's testimony was all over the news. Clips played on every major network. Social media exploded with support. Women veterans from every branch reached out to thank her. Active duty service members sent messages of solidarity. But there was pushback too. Anonymous accounts attacked her online. Conservative commentators questioned her credibility. Websites dedicated to men's rights doxed her and published her personal information. Dr. Martinez warned her to stay off social media for a while. "You can't control how people react to your testimony. You can only control your own response. Focus on the work ahead." The work ahead turned out to be more intense than Maya had anticipated. Pentagon assignments meant 14-hour days reviewing policy documents, attending meetings with senior leadership, and briefing admirals and generals on proposed reforms. She worked with lawyers, psychologists, training experts, and congressional liaisons to develop a comprehensive plan for cultural change across all special operations communities. It was exhausting, frustrating work. Every proposal faced resistance. Every change was picked apart by people who thought the current system worked just fine. Progress moved at a glacial pace, but slowly, things began to shift. New policies were implemented, requiring independent investigators for all harassment complaints. Training curricula were redesigned to emphasize respect and professionalism. Leaders who tolerated hostile environments were relieved of command, and female personnel who'd been driven out or transferred were contacted and offered opportunities to return with full support. 6 months into her Pentagon assignment, Maya received an email that made her stop cold. It was from one of the 8 women who'd been harassed by Class 347 and transferred out. Her name was Lieutenant Rachel Kim, and she'd been one of the first female tactical instructors at the NSW Center. Before Morrison and his team had made her life so miserable, she'd requested a transfer to a non-combat role. The email was short. "Senior Chief Reeves, I saw your testimony. I want my old job back. Can you help?" Maya called her immediately. "Lieutenant Kim, this is Senior Chief Reeves." "Senior Chief, thank you for calling. I know you're busy." "I'm never too busy for this. Tell me what you need." Lieutenant Kim's voice was steady but emotional. "I loved teaching tactics. I was good at it. But after what Morrison's team put me through, I couldn't stay. I thought I was the problem. I thought if I were tougher, stronger, better, they would have accepted me. It took years to realize it was never about me." "It was never about you," Maya confirmed. "It was about them and their criminal conspiracy." "I want to come back. I want to teach again, but I don't know if I can face that environment again." "The environment has changed," Maya said. "Not completely, not perfectly, but it's changing. And if you come back, you won't be alone. There are more female instructors now, better oversight, actual consequences for harassment. It's still hard, but it's better. Will you be there?" Maya hesitated. Her Pentagon assignment was scheduled to last 2 years. After that, she could request orders anywhere. "Not immediately," she said. "But when my tour here is done, I'm going back to instruction. And if you're there when I get back, we'll teach together." "I'd like that." After the call, Maya sat at her Pentagon desk and thought about all the Rachel Kims out there. Women who'd been driven out. Women who'd lost their dreams because of corrupt men, and a system that protected predators instead of victims. She thought about Morrison in his prison cell, about his father stripped of rank and honor, about the 47 candidates whose careers had ended before they really began. She didn't feel sorry for them, but she did feel the weight of what their corruption had cost. Not just the careers destroyed, not just the equipment stolen, but the trust broken, the culture poisoned, the message sent to every woman in uniform that they didn't belong, didn't matter, weren't wanted. Changing that culture would take more than policy reforms and disciplinary actions. It would take warriors willing to fight not just enemies abroad, but corruption at home. It would take women like Rachel Kim returning to the fight. It would take leaders choosing integrity over convenience. It would take time. Maya was ready to give it all the time it needed. Her phone buzzed, a text from Dr. Martinez. "Saw your testimony. Proud of you. Also, you missed your last 2 appointments. Healing doesn't stop just because you're busy saving the world." Maya smiled and typed back, "Scheduling one now. Thanks for keeping me honest." She was learning that surviving wasn't the same as healing, that winning the fight didn't erase the trauma, that changing the system was a marathon, not a sprint. But she was also learning that she didn't have to do it alone, that asking for help was strength, not weakness, that the women who came before her and the women who would come after her were all part of the same fight, and that sometimes the bravest thing you could do was keep showing up, day after day, even when it was hard, especially when it was hard. 18 months after Morrison's hands had gone around her throat, Maya stood in the lobby of the Federal Correctional Institution in Lompoc, California. She hadn't planned to come here, hadn't wanted to, but the request had come through official channels, and her Pentagon supervisor had suggested she consider it. Jake Morrison wanted to see her. The guard led her through security, through hallways that smelled like disinfectant and despair, into a visiting room with plastic chairs and fluorescent lights that made everyone look sick. Morrison sat on the other side of a plexiglass partition, his prison uniform hanging loose on a frame that had lost at least 30 pounds. The arrogance was gone from his face, replaced by something that looked almost like humility. He picked up the phone on his side. Maya picked up hers. "Thank you for coming," he said. Maya didn't respond. "I know you don't owe me anything. I know what I did was unforgivable. But I needed to tell you something, and I needed to say it to your face." "I'm listening." Morrison took a shaky breath. "I've been in therapy. Court mandated at first, but I kept going even after I didn't have to. My therapist made me write down everything I did to you, everything my father taught me about women in the military, everything I believed about who deserved to wear the trident and who didn't." He looked down at his hands. "Reading it back, I barely recognized myself. I sounded like a monster." "You were a monster," Maya said quietly. "I was. And I can't undo that. But I can tell you that you were right about everything. The way I treated you, the conspiracy, the systematic harassment of women, it was all wrong. My father raised me to believe that special warfare belonged to a certain kind of man, and anyone who didn't fit that mold was a threat. He taught me that protecting the Brotherhood meant destroying anyone who challenged it. And now? Now I understand that the Brotherhood I was protecting never existed. It was built on lies and theft, and hurting people who were just trying to serve their country." Morrison's voice cracked. "I destroyed my own life, my brother's life, and the lives of 47 guys who trusted my father and me. And for what? To protect an old man's ego and his bank account?
Maya felt something shift in her chest. Not forgiveness, not sympathy, but recognition. Morrison was finally seeing clearly what he'd been too blinded by privilege to see before. "Why did you want to see me?" she asked. "Because I needed you to know that what happened to you changed me. I know that doesn't matter to you. I know my change doesn't undo the harm. But there are guys in here from the military, guys who talk the same way I used to talk. And I tell them what happened. I tell them about the instructor I assaulted because I couldn't handle a woman being better than me. I tell them about the empire my father built that collapsed because we thought we were untouchable. And some of them listen. Some of them start to question the same things I believed." "You want credit for basic human decency?" "No. I want you to know that your fight didn't just take down a conspiracy. It started conversations. It changed minds, even in here, especially in here." Maya looked at him through the plexiglass. 20 months ago, she would have felt rage. Now she just felt tired. "Morrison, I didn't come here to absolve you. I came because someone told me it might help with my own healing to see that you're facing consequences. And they were right. Seeing you in that uniform, in that cage, does help. Because it means the system worked. Not perfectly, not quickly, but eventually." "I deserve worse than this," Morrison said. "Probably, but this is what you got. 2 years in prison, dishonorable discharge, the rest of your life marked as a felon and a disgrace. That's more consequences than most men like you ever face." "Men like me," Morrison repeated. "You mean men who were raised to believe they owned the world?" "I mean men who were given every advantage and used it to hurt people." Morrison nodded slowly. "For what it's worth, I'm glad you didn't quit. I'm glad you fought back. I'm glad you exposed everything. Because if you hadn't, I'd still be out there believing I was right, and more women would have gotten hurt." "That's not worth much," Maya said. "But I'll remember you said it." She hung up the phone and walked out without looking back. On the drive back to D.C., she called Dr. Martinez and told her about the visit. "How do you feel?" the therapist asked. "Lighter," Maya said. "Seeing him in prison? Hearing him admit what he did? It didn't change anything, but it closed something. Like a chapter ending. That's healthy. And important. You needed to see that he's facing real consequences, that your fight mattered. I know it mattered. I just forget sometimes. That's normal. Trauma makes us doubt ourselves. But Maya, you changed the entire culture of naval special warfare. You exposed a criminal conspiracy. You testified before Congress. You're literally rewriting policy at the Pentagon. How many people can say they've done that? It doesn't feel like enough. It never does. That's the burden of being someone who cares. But you can't carry the weight of every woman who came before you, or every woman who'll come after you. You can only carry your own weight. And you've carried it beautifully." 3 months later, Maya's Pentagon tour was extended by special request of the Secretary of the Navy. She'd been working on a comprehensive training program for gender integration across all special operations communities, and the Secretary wanted her to see it through implementation. The program was ambitious: mandatory bias training for all personnel, independent oversight boards for harassment complaints, career consequences for leaders who tolerated hostile environments, and, most controversially, opening all special operations positions to qualified candidates regardless of gender, with the same standards for everyone. The pushback was immediate and fierce. Op-ed pieces in military publications argued that lowering standards would get people killed.
Retired generals gave interviews saying women didn't have the physical capability for special operations. Online forums exploded with rage about political correctness destroying warrior culture. Maya read all of it, documented all of it, and used it to strengthen her arguments. She was presenting to a room full of 3-star generals when one of them, a Marine with a chest full of ribbons, cut her off mid-sentence. "Senior Chief, with all due respect, I commanded Special Operations Forces for 15 years. I know what it takes, and I'm telling you, this integration experiment is going to get people killed." Maya set down her briefing materials. "General, with all due respect, the Morrison conspiracy operated for 3 years and compromised operational security, stole millions in equipment, and created a hostile environment that drove out qualified personnel. That got people killed, or it would have if we hadn't stopped it. The question isn't whether women can meet the standards. The question is whether we're going to keep protecting men who can't meet the standard of basic human decency." The general's face reddened. "That's not what I'm saying." "It's exactly what you're saying, sir. You're suggesting that maintaining a culture that excluded women is more important than maintaining a culture of competence and integrity. The Morrison case proved what happens when we prioritize gender over capability. We get criminals wearing tridents. We get conspiracies that undermine national security. We get good people driven out while bad people are protected." Another general spoke up. "Senior Chief, the Morrison case was an aberration." "No, sir, it wasn't. It was the inevitable result of a culture that values conformity over competence. Morrison and his father believed they could get away with their crimes because they looked the part. They had the right connections, the right pedigree, the right gender. And for 3 years, they did get away with it. The only reason they didn't continue getting away with it is because one woman fought back." The Secretary of the Navy, who'd been silent throughout the presentation, finally spoke. "Gentlemen, Senior Chief Reeves has a point. The Morrison scandal embarrassed this department, cost us millions, and damaged our credibility with Congress and the American people. And it happened on our watch, because we were more concerned with maintaining tradition than maintaining standards. I think we owe it to ourselves to at least consider her recommendations." The presentation continued, but Maya could feel the shift in the room. Not acceptance, not agreement, but acknowledgement. These generals had been forced to confront an uncomfortable truth, and they couldn't dismiss it as easily as they wanted to. After the meeting, the secretary pulled her aside. "You're making enemies, Senior Chief." "I'm aware, sir." "Good. Keep making them. The right kind of enemies means you're doing something important." He paused. "I'm recommending you for advancement to Master Chief. The board meets next month." Maya felt her breath catch. Master Chief at 29. Unheard of, almost impossible. "Sir, I don't know what to say." "Say you'll keep fighting. Say you won't back down. Say you'll keep pushing until we get this right." "I will, sir. You have my word." The promotion board met on a Tuesday in March. Maya wasn't allowed to attend, but Lieutenant Commander Barnes, who'd stayed in touch throughout Maya's Pentagon tour, called her as soon as the results were posted. "Master Chief Reeves," Barnes said, her voice bright with emotion. "Congratulations." Maya sat down hard. They actually did it. They actually did it. You're the youngest female Master Chief in the Navy, and one of the youngest Master Chiefs, period. This is going to make people angry. Let them be angry. You earned this. Every single promotion, every single commendation, every single achievement, you earned it. And anyone who says otherwise can take it up with your record. The news broke the next day. Navy Times ran a front-page story. Social media exploded again. Supportive messages poured in from women across the military.
Angry messages came too, accusing her of being a diversity hire, of being promoted because of politics rather than merit. Maya ignored most of it, but one message caught her attention. From Lieutenant Rachel Kim. Master Chief, I'm back at the NSW Center. Started teaching again last month. The culture has changed. It's still hard, but it's better. Thank you for making this possible. Maya called her immediately. Rachel, this is Maya. Tell me everything. Lieutenant Kim's voice was stronger than it had been 18 months ago. I'm teaching tactical training to SEAL candidates. There are 4 other female instructors now, up from just me before. The candidates are respectful. There's oversight, and when someone steps out of line, there are actual consequences. Have you had any problems? Minor stuff, comments here and there, but nothing like before. And when I report it, people actually listen. They take action. It's not perfect, but it's functional. I'm proud of you for coming back. I'm proud of you for making it possible to come back. 6 months after making Master Chief, Maya's Pentagon assignment finally ended. She had orders to the Naval Special Warfare Center as the Senior Enlisted Advisor for Training and Standards. It was the highest enlisted position in the command, and she would be the first woman to hold it. Master Chief Vance threw her a going-away party at her apartment in Pacific Beach. Barnes came. Senior Chief Patterson came. Dr. Martinez came. Even Captain Chen from the Pentagon flew in. They toasted Maya's promotion, her new assignment, her courage. They told stories about the Morrison case, about the investigation, about the moment everything broke open. They laughed about the Texas senator's face during her testimony. They talked about the future like it was bright and certain. But this time, when Maya went home to her apartment, the silence didn't feel heavy. It felt peaceful. She'd done 2 years of intensive therapy with Dr. Martinez. She'd processed the trauma, developed coping strategies, learned to recognize triggers and manage them. The nightmares still came sometimes, but less frequently. The hypervigilance was still there, but manageable. She'd learned that healing wasn't about erasing what happened. It was about integrating it, making it part of her story without letting it define her. On her first day at the NSW Center, Maya walked into the same building where Morrison had assaulted her. The hallway had been repainted. New security cameras were visible at regular intervals. A plaque on the wall read, "Excellence has no gender. Courage has no gender. The only standard that matters is the warrior standard." Master Chief Patterson met her in the lobby. Marcus had aged in the past 2 years, his hair grayer, his face more lined, but his grip was still strong when he shook her hand. "Welcome home, Master Chief."
It's good to be back, Marcus. We've got a lot of work ahead of us. The integration program is rolling out next month. We're expecting the first female BUD/S candidates in 90 days, and we've got a lot of people who are nervous about it. Nervous is fine. Hostile is not. Agreed. That's why you're here, to make sure we do this right. Over the next 6 months, Maya rebuilt the culture at the NSW Center from the ground up. She implemented the policies she'd developed at the Pentagon. She trained instructors on bias recognition and intervention. She created accountability systems that couldn't be circumvented by rank or connections. And when the first female candidates arrived for BUD/S, Maya was there to meet them. There were 3 of them, different backgrounds, different ages, different reasons for being there. But all of them looked at Maya with the same expression Rodriguez had worn 2 years ago. Hope. Determination. The belief that maybe, finally, they could succeed without being sabotaged. Listen carefully, Maya told them on their first day. This program is going to be the hardest thing you've ever done. You're going to be tired, cold, wet, in pain, and pushed beyond what you think you can handle. Some of you won't make it through. That's okay. This isn't for everyone,
And there's no shame in that. She paused, looking each of them in the eye. But if you do make it through, you'll earn the trident the same way every SEAL in history has earned it. Through pain, sacrifice, and refusing to quit. Not because you're women, not in spite of being women, but because you're warriors. And that's the only thing that matters here. One of the candidates, a 22-year-old from Iowa named Sarah Chen, raised her hand. Master Chief, is it true you dropped 4 SEAL candidates in under a minute? Maya smiled. 47 seconds. And they weren't SEALs. They were criminals pretending to be SEALs.
Big difference. Another candidate spoke up. Master Chief, are people going to try to make us quit because we're women? Honestly, some might try. But here's what I learned. The people who want you to fail are the ones who are afraid you'll succeed. Because your success proves their excuses were always just excuses. So when someone tries to make you quit, remember that their fear is proof you're exactly where you belong. The candidates started Hell Week 3 weeks later. Maya watched from the instructor platform as they ran into the surf, their faces set with determination. Sarah Chen made it through day 1, day 2, day 3. On day 4, Maya saw her stumbling during a log carry drill, her legs shaking with exhaustion. An instructor yelled at her to move faster. She tried. Her legs gave out. She fell. Maya held her breath. Sarah pushed herself up, grabbed the log, kept moving. She made it through Hell Week. So did one of the other female candidates. The third rang the bell on day 5, and Maya was there to meet her as she walked away from the training compound.
I'm sorry, Master Chief, the candidate said, tears streaming down her face. I tried. I really tried. I know you did, Maya said, and there's no shame in that. You pushed yourself further than most people ever will. You learned something about yourself. That's valuable. I feel like I let everyone down. You didn't let anyone down. You showed up. You gave everything you had. That's all anyone can ask. Maya put her hand on the candidate's shoulder. This program isn't the only way to serve. There are 1,000 ways to be a warrior. You'll find yours. 2 months later, Maya received a letter forwarded from the Bureau of Naval Personnel. It was from Jake Morrison. She almost threw it away without reading it, but curiosity won out. The letter was short. Master Chief Reeves, I saw the news about the female candidates completing Hell Week.
I wanted you to know that seeing that headline made me realize how much damage I did. Not just to you, but to everyone who came before you and everyone who might have come after you if you hadn't fought back. I stole their opportunities because I was too insecure to share mine. I'm glad you won. I'm glad the system is changing. I'm glad women like Sarah Chen have a chance I tried to destroy. I'll spend the rest of my life trying to be worthy of the second chance I don't deserve. Thank you for being stronger than I was. Morrison. Maya read the letter twice, then filed it away. She didn't respond. Some things didn't need a response. 3 years after Morrison's hands had gone around her throat, Maya stood on a platform at the Naval Special Warfare Center, watching Sarah Chen receive her trident. The first woman to complete BUD/S and earn her SEAL designation. The ceremony was packed. Media, politicians, senior leadership. But Maya's eyes were on Sarah's face as the commanding officer pinned the trident to her uniform. Pride, relief, joy. The same emotions Maya had felt when she'd earned her own hard-won credentials. After the ceremony, Sarah found Maya in the crowd. Master Chief, I wanted to thank you for everything, for fighting back, for changing the system.
for making this possible."
Maya shook her head.
"You made this possible. You showed up every day. You did the work. You earned that trident. I just made sure nobody could steal it from you. That's everything, Master Chief." "No," Maya said quietly. "That's the bare minimum. You deserved a system that supported you from the beginning. You shouldn't have needed someone to fight for your right to compete." "Maybe not, but I'm grateful you did anyway."
That night, Maya sat on the beach watching the sun set over the Pacific. Her phone rang. Dr. Martinez. "Maya, I saw the news about Sarah Chen. How are you feeling?"
"Good. Really good."
Like maybe all of it was worth something. It was worth everything. You changed an entire system. You saved careers. You created opportunities. You proved that one person standing up can make a difference. I didn't do it alone. No, you didn't. But you started it, and that took more courage than anything else. After the call ended, Maya thought about the journey. The assault, the investigation, the retaliation, the trial, the testimony, the Pentagon assignment, the policy changes, the cultural shifts. She thought about the 8 women who'd come before her and given up. She hoped they knew it hadn't been their fault. She hoped they knew the system had failed them, not the other way around. She thought about the women who would come after her, women like Sarah Chen, who would earn their tridents through pain and sacrifice and refusing to quit. Women who deserved to serve without being assaulted or harassed or driven out. She thought about Morrison in his prison cell, finally understanding what he'd done. And she thought about herself. 28 years old when Morrison's hands had gone around her throat, 31 now. Master Chief, Senior Enlisted Advisor, the highest-ranking woman in naval special warfare history. She'd survived. She'd fought back. She'd won. Not perfectly, not without cost, but completely. The system that had protected Morrison was gone, torn apart and rebuilt with accountability and oversight. The culture that had driven out 8 women before her was changing, slowly but surely, into something better. The opportunities that had been denied to generations of qualified women were finally opening up. Because one woman had refused to walk away when they told her she didn't belong. Because one woman had fought back when they put their hands on her throat. Because one woman had stood up and said, "No, this ends here. This ends now. And I don't care what it costs me." Maya stood up from the sand and walked toward her jeep. Tomorrow she'd be back at the NSW Center, training the next generation of warriors, teaching them that excellence has no gender, courage has no gender, and the only standard that matters is the warrior standard. Teaching them that the people who tell you that you don't belong are usually the ones who are afraid you'll prove you belong better than they ever did. Teaching them that standing up for what's right is harder than standing down, but it's the only thing worth doing. She got in her jeep and drove home, past the building where Morrison had assaulted her, past the compound where she'd been stripped of her credentials and assigned to count life vests, past all the places that had tried to break her. They'd failed. She was still here, still fighting, still winning. And she wasn't done yet.